Hello and welcome to the halftime report here on Bear Football, part of the Barroom Network. John Buffone alongside Tyler Gaines Ellis and Aldo Gandia. The Bears trailing the Texans 14-13 at halftime, which only can really be described as a kind of confusing and frustrating half at times. Justin Fields looking pretty shaky, but also the play calling pretty shaky. The run game looked pretty good, but then David Montgomery goes down. Both him and Byron Pringle both doubtful to return. So Ebner and Khalil Herbert will be toting the rock for the rest of the game, at least in the short term. Gentlemen, initial takeaways, especially with that weird sequence at the end of the half. No timeouts. They're just not gonna try to score. They're just gonna pack it in. They're okay with what they did in the first half. It seems like they're coaching scared a little bit. That was the most frustrating thing to me, along with some of the quarterback play. Aldo, we'll go around the horn. Start with you. What'd you see?
Well, I saw a team that was afraid to rely on their quarterback's passing arm, and that's incredibly frustrating at this point. You've got to see what you got. He definitely made some mistakes in that first half. That throw to Cole Kmet was probably one of his worst in his pro career. That was eventually intercepted. But you've got to test him out. You've got to challenge him. You've got, with 3 timeouts and whatever amount of seconds are left in that first half, you've got to have him throw. And one time he went back to throw and he ran immediately. So maybe his own confidence is shot. Who knows what the coaching staff is seeing out of Justin Fields or feeling out of Justin Fields. Right now, I think most of us fans aren't feeling very good about either the coaching staff or the quarterback play.
Gaines, what do you see out there?
Tag me in, Joe.
You're in.
No, but Aldo, I actually agree with everything Aldo just said. Honestly, respectfully, no homer. Justin looked shaken to me a little bit. But then at the same time, Luke, it's 3rd and 6. You don't call a pass play for your quarterback. Like he's a first round pick. Like let your quarterback decide. We don't let Justin throw. We do a little run. Texans go down and Miles throw a touchdown pass. Or runs it in. But it's like, what? I don't understand. Bro, it's a football game. I'm glad we're in it. First of all, shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm too hyped to sit down right now. We got to win this damn game. If we don't win this game, everybody's fucking fired. Excuse my language. Sorry. but at the end of the day, I just feel like Justin settled down. I have a couple things that I like. I saw Roquan tackling despite his injury. That's kind of cool. But at the end of the day, I'm looking for my quarterback. He's already eclipsed his 11 attempts from last week, but it's under 50 yards, John. I don't know, bro. Talk to me.
Listen, there's a lot to be frustrated about. You look at a box score, and if you're just looking at the box score, you think, how can a team that ran for 110 yards in the first quarter be trailing at halftime? But that's where we find ourselves. And you look at some of the plays. Justin Fields had a pretty bad interception because not only was Cole Kmet open, but I think the wide receiver was also wide open. There could have been potentially a touchdown on that play, and that was frustrating to see. It was nice to see the bend don't break defense in the end zone with Eddie Jackson getting another interception, a nice tip there. I believe it was Kendall Vildor that tipped it up, and he was able to come down with it in the end zone to keep this from even being a bigger deficit potentially at halftime. But I said earlier this week, I wasn't sure that the lack of passing attempts or the lack of passes were because the coaching staff didn't trust Justin Fields. I just thought it was maybe part of a plan of bringing him along very, very slowly. You know what, guys? After seeing that first half, I'm not so sure. I'm not overly sure. I don't know. I'm not in the coaching staff. I'm not in the locker room. But something's weird. Something's off, and it's very apparent. You don't have to be in the locker room. You don't have to be at the game. You don't have to be on the sidelines to know that something's off. It's just not working, or something seems like they want to do something, but they're not doing it. So I'm confused with this offense right now. Darnell Mooney's got that wide receiver screen they threw to him towards the end of the first half. I thought that could have went for some yardage. He drops it. You got to do the small things. When your offense is not capable of, airing it out and tearing off big chunks of yards, you have to do the small things right. And they're still not doing that right. So I don't like the coaching mentality at the end of the first half. You're playing a bad team at home. I know that the Bears aren't a great team, but the Texans aren't a great team either. You got to score points, and you can't be coaching scared against the Houston Texans. You can't be playing a team that is going to be right up there with you for a top 10 draft pick and be coaching scared. Are you afraid of Davis Mills? Are you afraid of Lovie Smith and the offensive geniuses over at Houston? Are you afraid of them? What are we doing? I saw it in the chat room. If you want to see what you got in Justin Fields, he's got to throw the ball. He's got to try to make plays. You got to see at least what you got. It can't be 3rd and 17, 3rd and 6 or whatever and say, oh, you know what? Draw play. Let's see what we can do. I know that they're running the ball well, but those are passing situations. And if this is the guy that's going to be your franchise quarterback, he has to make plays. It can't all be deceptions and end arounds and throwing people off and, misdirection. It's gotta be people, playmakers making plays at some point. And they got to give them the opportunity to do that.
John,
go ahead.
John, what I was going to say is David Montgomery is out. That's pretty much the other captain, I would say, on the offensive side of the ball. I'm hoping it's not what I think it is, because it's either they don't believe in Justin or they think he's not capable of Justin. It's one of those two things, man, because David is out. We have to see what we got in Justin, man. I mean, I hear this talk that the Bears are in the market for a wide receiver. But what's the point if we're not going to throw to him?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
I'm sorry, Tyler, you're not making sense there, because first of all, we all said before the season was started that this has to be a run team, because you don't have the offensive weapons, because you don't have the offensive line protection for Justin Fields. So we are being a bit unfair to the quarterback when you don't when you start by saying this has to be a run team for us to have success, and then when they don't throw, you're blaming the team and the quarterback for not throwing. So which is it?
No, in passing situations, though, they should pass.
Exactly, Aldo.
Back in their own end zone, they're not going to throw. We know that about this team. They want to play cautious. They want to have their defense keep them in the game. That's what happened against San Francisco. It's a very cautious approach. And if you don't want your quarterback to be totally defeated with lack of confidence, then you have to take that approach. It is clear this team doesn't have the sufficient soldiers to go out there to do battle. So they have to play a game plan that is conservative.
Aldo, I agree with everything you just said, but the fact that what you just said was we know this team. So is this the same team from the last freaking 5 years? What's the point of firing people if we're going to expect the same thing? The Bills, the Bills, Kansas City, St. Louis. Some of these teams are throwing to wide receivers that we don't even know their name. I mean, Tom Brady, before he was Tom Brady, was throwing wide receivers that they changed every year. All I'm saying is we've seen other playoff teams. I'm trying to go to the playoffs. I'm not just trying to play a game. I'm comparing us to playoff teams. What is it going to take for us to take that next step up? I don't want to just be conservative, Aldo, respectfully. I don't want to be conservative.
I know that this has to be a run team. And I know that they're going to be conservative. But let's look at this season holistically. I've said this from the beginning of the year. This is a complete and utter evaluation year to see what they got. And if you're not going to open it up a little bit, then you don't know what you have going into next year. If you refuse to open it up, then you don't know. You don't have the data to go off of to see what you actually need to adjust. And if they're going to just keep bottling it up and just see if they can squeeze out a 12-10 win every week against bad teams and still not make the playoffs, how much more far ahead are you going into next year if you still don't know?
I do think that you guys are rushing to judgment here. Here we are in the middle of game 3, and you guys have abandoned your plan of attack for the season to play conservative, let this team start to gel before you start to do things. And that's what the coaching staff is doing. We don't like it because it's ugly, because we can't even do the small things well. When you throw a screen pass to Darnell Mooney and he drops it, when you throw a 5-yard out last week to Cole Kmet and he drops it, when those things are happening, it's very, very frustrating. Right. But I don't think that the coaching staff is to blame here. I know it's frustrating, and I know we want to blame them and everyone else, but it is the plan of attack, and they're sticking to it, just like Ryan Post stuck to his draft board.
Would you have not tried to score at the end of the half?
I would have, absolutely. But at the same time, that's not what their game plan is.
I know.
So, John,
I respectfully disagree with the game plan then.
John, I'm with you. We definitely should have scored at the end of the half. I mean, what's the point of timeouts if we don't use them? But Aldo, on the contrary, we've seen the Texans do exactly what we're trying to do. We've seen them run and set up the pass. And so, but I'm watching the other team do what we're trying to do. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you, Aldo, with the balance. I love our running game. Remember last year, we were mad at Nagy. We were mad at him for not running the ball. Sure. So I'm with you. So let me make that clear. I got David Montgomery.
I'm with you too, brother.
I'm with you, brother.
Going, but they're about to kick off. So we'll enjoy the second half. At the end of the game, we'll be right back here. All of us with Danny Shimon will be back as well to break down, hopefully, a Chicago Bears victory. This has been the Halftime Report on Bear Football, part of the Ballroom Network. We'll see you after the game.
All right.